to the College of Staten Island Parent Orientation. Thank you for joining us today. We really think these parent orientations are very important. Obviously, everyone is getting ready for a new chapter in their lives, and not only the students, but the parents as well. So welcome again. For those of you who just joined us, we will leave everyone muted for this session, and we will have all of our questions will be answered via the chat box. Unless you were calling, if you're a call-in participant, we will unmute you at the end. We can see who the call-ins are. Don't worry. Worry not. Jesse is in control. So that reminds me, who is here today? Let's go over all of our participants, or of our, I should say, presenters and people working this session today. So we have from the Center for Advising and Academic Success, also known as CAS, we have Dina Pattelli. Hi, Dina. I think she's there. She's there. Don't worry.
Here. Hi, I'm waiting.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We have from Financial Aid Office, Michael Adamo. Hi, Michael.
Hi, everyone.
Great. From the Office of Recruitment and Admissions, we have Jesse Rodriguez. Hi, Jesse.
Hi.
Eva Cooperman. Hi, Eva. And me, Sean Walsh. We also have a couple of special guests here who are not necessarily presenting, but are here to answer questions and are wonderful people nonetheless. Now, I am lying. One of those people is not here. So Jennifer Durando is not joining us today. But we do have Director of Financial Aid from the Financial Aid Office, Terry San Giorgio. Hi, Terry.
Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of information, and this will be a very helpful session for you.
And from Dolphin Cove Student Housing, leasing coordinator, Dina Garassi. Hi, Dina.
Hello, guys. How are you?
That's okay.
Okay, I'm muted.
All right, so I do want to, focus on one thing here to start. You will notice that everyone has a years next to their name, right? One of those people, let's all have a round of applause for Eva Cooperman, who just graduated with her BSN in nursing. And she was also, and somebody did mention Macaulay. Eva is a member of the Macaulay Honors College. While we will not be addressing specifically information for Macaulay students, we'll be addressing information that is relevant to all students, really. So if you have a Macaulay question at the end, feel free to ask Eva. She's really the on-site Macaulay expert. But you will notice that we will have dates next to our names. Those are the dates that we all graduated from the College of Staten Island. So all of us here are alumni of the College of Staten Island. So, and I think I speak for everyone when I say, yes, we do work here because we do need to have a living. We do need money. We need to feed our families. But it's more than that. I think we all have a special connection to the College of Staten Island. We love the College of Staten Island. I know you can see by the year that I finished my undergraduate degree here. I've been affiliated with the college for a very, very long time. And it's a special place for all of us, and we really do care about the students, and we're here to help them. I always say when I start off my regular orientations for the students on campus, that everyone you meet, everyone that is gonna come on the stage today, and is here to help you. And then I say that here, everyone you're gonna meet today, everyone that's here presenting, everyone that's here answering questions, we really are here to assist your students succeed and graduate and walk across. Hopefully there'll be a commencement ceremony in 4 years when your students are graduating, and they will walk across, the Great Lawn and graduate. So a little about myself, that's me. Yes, that is my ID card from when I was a freshman at the College of Staten Island back in the fall of 1992. You can get your abacus out now and figure out how old I am. Old, I guess. But that picture was taken at the Pattelli School. So where's my friend from the Pattelli School, right? So Pattelli's, you're familiar, used to be the College of Staten Island, right? That was the Sunnyside campus. That's where I started many, many years ago. My official role now at the college is Assistant Director for Orientation in the Office of Recruitment and Admissions, but I'm also an admissions advisor, counselor. I wear many different hats. So we're going to start by, I'm going to give you just a quick little presentation about the college. So, welcome to CSI. Not only are, the students Dolphins, but you're also Dolphins now for life, right? The CSI Dolphins. The College of Staten Island is a beautiful 204-acre campus. It is the largest campus, continuous campus in New York City, public or private. We do offer, associate's degrees, bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, doctoral programs at the College of Staten Island. So we are a full comprehensive college within the CUNY system, and we offer, 80 different majors of study, including nursing, computer science, biology, business, education, music, many, many different majors. And again, Eva will put in that link in the chat box that will give you a link to our website, which lists all the majors that we offer. And some of the students, your children are coming in with a specific major. I want to be a nursing student. I want to be a computer science student. I want to be a cinema student. And some are coming in not knowing what they want to study. So that's fine either way. And, that they will find their way here, whether be some of the classes they take. They may take a history course and find out their passion is history. So the college offers research opportunities, great research college. So anybody who's thinking of going into medical school or studying any of the sciences, we have great research opportunities here at the college. Great study abroad opportunities. Obviously, study abroad is not something people are focusing on right now with the COVID situation, but things will get back to normal eventually. And we do have a wonderful study abroad program. Really is quite amazing. We have, right, Dana? Beautiful, luxury, apartment style, on-campus housing, beautiful housing. And a lot of the students, as we were going through, are local students, so they might not be living on campus, but their experience will be influenced by the fact that we have housing on the campus now. So there are students coming from all over the country, all over the world. We have our friend from Egypt who's here in the session right now. So their experience at the college will be influenced by the students that are coming from all over the world. So I think it's just wonderful. It really has enhanced our campus in many different ways, the housing, even for those who are not living there. We have a rich student life experience at the College of Staten Island. Really, tons of things to get involved in. And I'm going to talk about that a little while in more detail. And our athletics. We were traditionally, as most of CUNY, a Division III college, but recently we moved to the NCAA Division II. So we are now a Division II college. Again, your student might not be an athlete, might not be participating in a Division II sport. However, it will influence their experience here at the college. Thank you, Jess. So where do we start? We start this session talking about transition. So obviously, this is a big transition for the students, but it's really a big transition for all of you as well. Your relationship with the student is transitioning completely. And before I go into the transition, I do want to touch on one thing, which I know the question keeps on coming up, so it's like the elephant in the room that I don't want to ignore. All of us here wish we knew where we were going to be in the fall. We don't know if classes are going to take place in person, online, or be some kind of combination of both, some kind of hybrid. I just wanted to address that right away, because I know that question did come up. There's probably a parent here who I had this discussion with yesterday who was attending this session. All of us, trust me, wish we knew where we would be, but we don't. All of us are obviously working from home here in my basement. I'm not in the gym. That's just a wonderful green screen that I have. I'm in my basement with a wonderful picture of our CSI gym, but we don't know where we'll be. So I apologize. We don't have an answer to that. Most schools don't. Right now we're planning that we will be on campus for the start of the semester. That's where we all hope we'll be, but we don't know. That information will come down obviously from Governor Cuomo, so we will know more information soon as we go, and we will definitely communicate that to everyone right away. So transitioning, back to that. So it is definitely a big transition for everyone's life, not only the student, but for the parent. Your relationship is obviously transitioning. And this is a good time to, have them become more independent. They're going to be in classes with professors, and that professor-student relationship is in some ways similar to the relationship they will have with their supervisor. There are some people that have wonderful supervisors. They love their supervisor. There are some people that don't have as wonderful a supervisor. They're not in love with their supervisor. But that's just sort of what happens in life. And there are going to be professors they have that are their favorite, and professors that are not so much their favorite. And that's fine. But it's navigating that relationship, which is the most important thing, which we all need to learn how to navigate in our lives. Professors are not necessarily, unlike, high school teachers or grammar school teachers, aren't necessarily trained to be teachers. They're trained in a specific area. For example, psychology. A psychology professor is an expert in the discipline of psychology. So sometimes their teaching style may be a little different than the teachers that they've had in high school. And that's fine. It's learning how to navigate that new transition in their lives and coming to college. And it's learning that independence and learning to submit papers on time. In high school and grammar school, teachers are on their case all the time, right? Make sure you do your homework tomorrow. The reading is due tomorrow. Parents are usually involved, right? Teachers will call the home if students are not handing their work in on time, if they're not doing things right. That's not necessarily how it will go in college. Professors will hand out on the first day of class a syllabus. And that syllabus will break down exactly what is expected of them in their class. Down to a lot of syllabuses will be what is due and when it is due, on the date that it is due. So they may have a paper due on a particular date. The professor, the class before that may not remind them of that paper that is due. It's just assumed that they are a responsible adult and they will hand that paper in on time. So it's this new transition, and your role as a parent now is partner, right? Mentor, helping them get through navigate this, not doing it for them, but assisting them when they need help. And that transitions us to this law, right? And I'm sure some of you have had conversations with staff at the college, and it's what's come up is this FERPA law, right? The Family Education Rights and Privacy Act of 1974. What does that mean? That means that the child is now really in the driver's seat. It is illegal, right, for us to share information with parents that the student did not authorize us to share with them. And some of you are sitting here right now saying, wait a second, I'm paying the bills. I'm paying the tuition. So you're telling me that I'm paying the tuition, but the school does not have to give me any information on how my child is doing if they're attending class? Unfortunately, no. We are not allowed legally to share that information. So there's more information on FERPA. I'm not going to go too much on it, but Eva did share a link on FERPA. That comes from a government website which explains all the ins and outs of FERPA. But we do have what's called a FERPA release form that you could, and again, she's putting that up. Eva is amazing. She just throws that stuff up there as I say it. It looks like we've rehearsed this a million times, right? But there is a link on our website. You can click on that link, fill out that form, it gets submitted to the registrar's office. So it's now time really to have a conversation with the student. What are we going to share? And I would have that conversation with them now. If they're living in your home and you're paying the tuition, I think it's okay for you to let them know that you would like them to keep you in the loop of all the information that is going on, how they're doing in their courses, making sure they're attending their courses. These are all things that you should have a conversation with now. And if the student agrees that they would like you to get all the information affiliated with them, associated with them, then fill out that form and submit that to the registrar's office. That will then put a little mark in their account that when you do call, let's say the bursar or the registrar and say, can I know if my student, how they did in their courses, and you've filled out that form, then the staff at the college will be then allowed to release any of that information. But again, more than just filling out that form, I do like to say it's now time to have that conversation with the parents, with the students, and really, have an honest conversation. You're going to college now. There's a lot of freedom. You are very independent, but as your partner, as your mentor in this ride, right? I'd like to, and I think Dina later will use a lot of those driving analogies later, but I would like to assist you and be aware of what's going on. This way, if they do get into any kind of trouble academically, even emotionally, you're there to assist them and maybe help them before things really do spiral way out of control. So moving on to transitioning, a couple of things I do want to mention is some of the great services that we do have at the college. So I did mention services do change, but in some ways they change for the better. They're even more enhanced in some ways. So as much as there won't be that teacher or guidance counselor on the student's case, letting them know to do things, make sure you hand them your paper, make sure you go to class, there's a lot of support services that are available that the students will have to seek out on their own, but they're there to help them assist them. So the one thing I do like to mention, the first one that I think is really important, is the counseling center. We have an unbelievable counseling center. I'm sure a lot of you know how expensive counseling can be. Going to a licensed counselor, a therapist, is very expensive. And a lot of health insurances don't even cover those treatments. As a student at the College of Staten Island, we're really all through CUNY, they have access to licensed, high-quality counselors. The same quality you'd get in a private practice out in the real world. They have this access to that at the College of Staten Island. So encourage them to take advantage of that counseling. And that's for academic counseling or just personal counseling. You know, helping them manage, you know, their day-to-day life, maybe relationship counseling, there's group counseling, there's one-on-one counseling. So encourage them to take advantage of this free, confidential, high-quality counseling. It's really, really, really just a great service that they have access to. Make sure they take advantage of that. Health and Wellness Center. You know what happens? Parents always ask, what happens if my child gets sick? We have a nurse practitioner, we have nurses, we have a full health and wellness center. It's the same center you've been sending those, I'm sure if you've sent your immunization forms, same office that immunization forms go to, but we have, again, licensed nurse practitioner, nurses on staff to help the students if they become ill. Academic help. I'm not going to talk too much about academic counseling because that's where my friend Dina will come in, and I don't want to take any of her presentation, but we also do have academic support. So we have free tutoring. You know, the Office of Academic Support is a wonderful office. You could you walk in tutoring at any time, and the tutoring is peer tutoring. So it's students, upperclassmen who have excelled in these courses, and they're there to help them with their studies, with their classes. And you know, in high school, tutoring is usually something that we think of as a punishment, or you're not doing well, so now it's time to go to tutoring. In college, it's much different. You should encourage them to go see the tutor before they have any kind of issues. You know, the tutoring center is open to students the first week of class. Go to the tutoring center. You know, if you're try to stop any kind of issues you may have academically before they start happening. So go to the tutor, get extra time. And also, while I'm on that, go to each professor also has office hours. Professors are required to be in their office at a specific time every week on the same day for students to come see them if they need help, if they want to chat. And professors love when the students come and meet them with their time in their office hours. Remember, a person who studied biology loves biology. So they welcome people coming in to talk to them about their discipline. So professors love when you come and talk to them about their course. You know, there might be a lecture that you needed some assistance with, or that inspired you in some way. Go to find the professor, talk to them, tell them how you're inspired by their lecture. They love it. They love getting to know the students. So elaborate, and we will elaborate on everything, but on the medical, I'm going to talk about the medical forms in a few minutes when I do the steps to enrolling. Have no fear. What else? What other services we mentioned? Public safety. We do have a great, and I do want to say that all of the services I'm mentioning, even if we're online in the fall, if classes are online due to COVID-19, these services, everything that I'm mentioning still exists via online, via the web. So counseling still exists. Tutoring still exists. Everything still exists. Professional career and professional development, what I'm going to mention in a second. All of these services still exist online. So public safety, if we are lucky enough to be back on campus in the fall, we have, public safety, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. There are public safety officers on our campus. We have a very safe campus. Again, you could say, well, Sean, you're paid to say that. I'm not. The public safety office does a report. They're required by law to do a report every year that's posted online. And you can read through that report and you can see any kind of incidents that took place, any kind of robberies, assaults, anything that took place. And you'll notice if you go through those reports, very little happens on our campus. It's a very safe campus, but we do have public safety. And public safety also offers shooter response training, active shooter response training. So, we live in a world where mass shootings do happen. I hope they never happen on our campus, but the training does exist for students if they want to get that training to be prepared in the case of an emergency, if there is an active shooter on the campus, or if there's an active shooter anywhere in their life, that they know how to respond to that. We have a Center for Career and Professional Development. So, a lot of you are saying, what happens to my child when he graduates? Will he or she be able to get a job, right? We have a great career and professional development office, and they are the office that assists with career training, with career preparation. They offer a service where they'll help you create a resume. They will do dress for success, job interview strategies, use of social networking, all sorts of job preparation and professional imaging events that will help students succeed once they graduate. And these services are available to students even after they finish their degree at the college. They can still come and talk to those career coaches who could help them with, and they'll help them with internships, job placement, all of those great things. So they really are a great office. They also have this Focus 2 testing, which is a career planning service. There are some students who don't know what they want to do as far as a career. And they have these tools that will help them figure out, use it, and it'll ask them a series of questions depending on what their likes are and what some of the things that they're good at are, and it'll help them with decide on what they could potentially do with a career. Obviously students who go into things like nursing, computer science, those career paths are pretty much set and straightforward. But I'm someone who has a degree in the humanities and social sciences. There are a number of us here in this presentation who have those types of degrees. There are many different career opportunities for someone who has a degree in English and history. There are jobs and hiring agents who look for students who have the degrees in humanities and social science because they're great thinkers. So keep that in mind. And there are things like this Focus 2, which will help those students narrow down where they fit. What, if they are getting a degree in, let's say, history, what can I do with that degree? What are the things that I'm good at? What are my benefits that I could bring to many different agencies in the world? Student life. I mentioned before we have a rich student life. We have tons, I think 50 or 60 clubs and organizations that exist. And I can't stress more how important it is for students to get involved on campus. Students who get involved on campus are way more successful than the students who don't get involved. And it seems like it would be the opposite, right? They're so involved in what's going on in clubs and sports and different activity on campus that they're not paying attention to their studies. But it's the opposite. Students who are involved really do care about the community, care about their college, care about their success, and they perform better in school. And not only that, but it's also a way to start building that resume. I'll reference Eva a few times because she's the most recent student here. She's graduating with a degree in nursing, but has a resume already. She's worked with us as a new student orientation leader, a new student orientation mentor. She's done note-taking. So she has real-world experience. So if she's up against another nursing student for the same job, her resume will be better than most students who are applying for that job because she has real-world experience. She's assisted people. And these are great tools that any nurse needs, and really a lot of different careers. So get involved on campus. There's tons of organizations that exist, tons of ways to help out the community. So a lot of events like raising money for charities and things like that. These are all things that students add to their resume. Student government is another way to get involved. And we have, like I mentioned, 50 different clubs that exist. But if a club doesn't exist that the student is interested in, they can create a club. If they can find none of the people that are interested in that having that kind of club, they could create their own club. When I was a student at the college many years ago, a drama club did not exist. There was a bunch of us who were interested in creating a drama club, and we did. We created the drama club. I think the drama club now still exists, and that was back in the 1990s. So get involved. I stress for the students to really, really, really get involved. That's really one of the most important things I could stress. These are just some of the services that we offer at the college. There's tons more, and we will go really over that in their new student orientation. So the students will know about all the different services that exist for them to succeed. We also have a great office of student accessibility. Those are students who might have an IEP. So if the student does have an IEP, some of those services will follow them to college. There are some accommodations that they could have. You should definitely check in with the Center for Student Accessibility, register with them, and they will help you getting any of those services that they need. And these could be, permanent disabilities or temporary disabilities, right? Let's say a student fell and broke their leg, and they need the disability van to help them around campus. That is the office that will help them get those services. They broke their arm and they need a note taker, right? Eva was a note taker for them for a long time. And you may need someone to just come with you to take your notes while you're in class for a limited time. So these are services that exist. Definitely, if you have, your student has an IEP, contact them. You will check in with them. You'll register with that office. They will help you with those services. That is my little piece on transitioning to the college. Now I do want to touch on our enrollment steps. So there are a number of steps students need to take, and some of your children here have already done. The students have already done a lot of these steps. But I do want to review a lot of these steps for the students who have not done some of these steps already. So we're going to touch on all of those steps, and I will touch on that immunization record form, which I think somebody asked about before. So before I do go into the steps to enrollment, I do want to just review real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on this. The proficiency requirements. So I know at one time, CUNY required students to take the CUNY assessment test. We used to call them the CATs. Those no longer exist. For students to prove proficiency, still the same. It's based off of SAT scores or Regent scores, depending on, or ACT scores, and those are there. Those are on the web. Again, Eva will share that link with you. You can find out those scores. For students who don't meet the proficiency based on that, we do have a new proficiency index. So in the past, if a student didn't meet those proficiency requirements, they would take the CUNY assessment test. Now CUNY comes up with a proficiency index based on Regents, SAT, ACT, and also they take into account, so it's a holistic approach, they take into account how they did in their specific courses. So they'll come up with a proficiency index. Students with a 65 or higher in English are proficient. 60 or higher in math are proficient. Students who are not proficient, who do not meet those proficiency requirements, may need some kind of intervention. A summer program like Immersion, Math Start, CUNY Start. These are all different programs that exist to help these students become proficient. It's really, really important. For them to succeed in any college course, they need to be proficient in reading, writing, and math. It's the most important thing. Without that proficiency level, they will not be able to take courses like psychology, history, bio, physics. Any of those courses will be a challenge if they're not proficient. So if CUNY deems them not proficient based on that index, they could require them to take some of these remedial courses, remedial programs. Some are just a summer program. Some are a full program through the fall to help them become proficient. I don't want anyone to think of those as a punishment. They really are to benefit your child. They really are to help them become proficient and to help them, give them the best shot they have at succeeding in those courses. So, again, if you have a student that's saying, I have to take this summer course, encourage them, tell them that's great. That's great that CUNY is giving you that opportunity to deal with some of those remedial needs before classes start. In the past, before CUNY started all these immersion programs and CUNY Starts and Math Start, there were a lot of students who were taking remedial courses, and they were using their financial aid or paying for those courses, non-credit bearing courses that they were stuck in. And it was using some of their financial aid. It was costing them tuition money. So this is a better way to do it. The immersion programs are all free. CUNY Start and Math Start are relatively inexpensive. So these are great programs. Encourage the students. So if they're required to do that, encourage them to really attack those courses, to do really well. And this way they'll be ready to start with their credit-bearing courses either this fall or in the spring. So enrollment steps. Most students here, again, have accepted our offer already or paid their commitment deposit. For those of you who haven't, it's as easy as claiming your CUNY First account and clicking the I accept the offer box. Some people are required to pay the commitment deposit. It's a $100 commitment deposit. It's not additional money. It's subtracted from your tuition. Some people are waived from paying the commitment deposit. How do you get those waivers? There's really two ways of getting those waivers. One is if it's based off of financial aid. If you have an expected family contribution or an EFC from your FAFSA that is less than $3,000 or less, you're waived from that $100 commitment deposit. Or the second new way to get that waiver is if you had a CUNY fee waiver. So if you were filled out that application with your counselor at the high school and they give you a fee waiver, that fee waiver will follow you. So you'll be exempt from paying the $100 tuition, $100 commitment deposit. That does not There's no waiver, though. For anyone here who's thinking of living on campus, there is no waiver for the $400 commitment deposit, I should say, not commitment deposit, deposit to housing. There's no waiver for that. So even if you do have an EFC of less than 3,000 or had a CUNY fee waiver and you plan on living on campus, you must make that $400 deposit to Dolphin Cove Student Housing. There's no waiver for that. The waiver is only for the $100 commitment deposit to the College of Staten Island. Every student is required to submit their immunization forms. Now, somebody did ask the question. I didn't hear any information on this. Most of the time, if you're a New York City DOE student, they will send the immunization records, so you don't even have to do that. They follow you. There is one part that is not part of the DOE medical records or any high school medical records. That's the meningitis vaccination. While we don't require the meningitis vaccination, yeah, we're going to go into financial aid in a little while. I promise you, Excelsior Scholarship. That'll be when we get to our financial aid presentation. But more on the medical records. The immunizations usually will follow from the DOE. If you're not a DOE student, make sure you fill out that complete form. We just put up the link and have that submitted to the Health and Wellness Office that I mentioned before. The meningitis part is not required, but you must check off on that box. Either you had the meningitis vaccination or you don't want to have it. You're not having it. That's fine. Yeah, you can send them. You can email the Health and Wellness Office directly with the forms. Just have that submitted, fill out the form, scan it, and send it over to them. That's fine. Yes, you're welcome. So make sure you get that form handed in and sent over to the Health and Wellness Office. It's important, especially if we're on campus in the fall, you really can't register for more than 5 credits. You don't have that form on campus, on file. So make sure, if you're not sure, it's the student can log on to their CUNY First account in their to-do list. It will tell them what they're missing. It'll tell them it's missing the full form or just the meningitis piece. So you can always have them log into their CUNY First account and they can see if they're missing that. If you're in doubt, always email me. Everyone should have my email address and I can look that up for you. What is the next step? So after that, you need to attend VCART. So a little background before I turn it over to Dina Pattelli. So CART is an acronym. It stands for CSI's Advisement Registration Training. We've had to add the V to a lot of things this cycle because of COVID. So everything is being done virtual. So now it is the virtual CSI Advisement Registration Training. And that is where students register for courses and do a lot of other things. But with that, you've heard enough from me. Why don't we say, with her ID card, the same ID card as I had, let's turn it over to Academic Lead Advisor for Freshmen and the first year experience from the Center Advising and Academic Success, Dina Pattelli. Dina, take it away.
Thanks, Sean. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I want to first thank you all for attending and just say you guys did a great job on getting your kids through high school. You now have high school graduates. I'm struggling just to get my kids through pre-K and kindergarten right now, but we're making it. We have a graduation coming up next week, so I'm very happy. Hopefully in a few years, I'll be sitting in this attending for my kids when they start college. I'm a proud product of CUNY, completed my BA in psychology at CSI, and then went on for my master's of organizational psych at Brooklyn College. So I truly believe in a CUNY education. I think it's the best you can get out there. And please encourage your kids to continue to pursue that degree. So I'm here to talk about academic advisement, what that is. Basically, academic advisement is helping your students, guide them through their academic journey at the college. So I usually say in these presentations, we're like a GPS. So we're basically here to keep your kids on track through their college degree. Sometimes they will make a wrong turn. Sometimes they may stop attending classes. Sometimes they may change their major multiple times. This is why we're here, to help them get back on track, but we can't do it alone. We need you guys riding shotgun with us. We need you to help them get back on track. Sometimes they're down and we need you guys to help us pick them back up. Every March and every October is our advising period. We need you to remind them to come in to see us. Our wait time sometimes exceeds an hour or so. So it's very important if they come in early, they'll get to spend a little bit more time with the advisor and they won't have a long wait. So please make sure you push them to come in during those periods. Next slide. We also need your help. Please remind your child to check their email regularly. Everything from the college will be sent to their email account. Right now we're using personal email accounts. At some point we'll move towards their CIX account, which is their College of Staten Island account. And it's very, very important that they check this. Next slide. So when we were on campus, we held an event each week in the summer called CART, which basically allowed students to come in, interact with other students, meet different departments, and ultimately register for classes. So when we went virtual, we needed to figure out how we could do that in our new virtual reality. So what we did was we created an online organization using Blackboard. Basically, Blackboard is an online classroom that we use throughout CUNY. So your students will now be familiar with this system because they've used it, they will be using it when they go through VCART. And basically what we did was we took everything that we did in person and we tried to mimic that online. So for students to learn about general information, our special programs, and college resources, through the various links on our Blackboard, they can access that information. To help them with their onboarding, the heart of our organization is Virtual CART. I'll go through Virtual CART in a few minutes, but that's basically where they will obtain the necessary information that they'll need for their first semester at the college. We still wanted our students to have some sort of peer-to-peer interaction. So through our discussion board, students are able to go in, have conversations with other new students based on different topics that we post. We also wanted our students to have direct access to an advisor. So on the spot, if they had a question or they wanted to double check a course that we advised them to take, through our Meet Your Advisor link, they're able to have that one-on-one conversation right on the spot. And finally, through our post-CART follow-up area in our Blackboard organization, we go through the various steps that we're going to cover in a few minutes on the enrollment process, finalizing and wrapping up the enrollment process. Next slide. So what we did was we invite students through email. Those students that are directly invited to Virtual CART will be sent information on how to access the Blackboard. They'll also be sent a video. We'll send you guys the link to this video. It's a cute way just to show the various modules within Virtual CART. Next slide, please. So like I said, the heart of our Blackboard organization is the Virtual CART area. There's 3 areas that students are required to go through. So the first area is information technology. Basically, this module covers all of the various online tools students will use as students at the college, including CUNY First, which is basically the system that we use for everything. Blackboard, which they will be familiar with at this point. We explain how they claim their CUNY First accounts, how they can set up their email accounts, and all of the other online tools that they'll use as students. In order for students to move to the second module, which is advisement and registration, they have to complete a short quiz. There's 10 questions. They need to get at least 6 questions right in order for the advisement and registration module to open. Once they go through the advisement and registration module, we will explain general education throughout CUNY. It's called CUNY Pathways. So we go over that. They will also learn about what makes them a full-time student, what's considered a part-time student, and credits that we feel they should be taking each semester. So in order to be considered a full-time student at the college, students must enroll in at least 12 equated credits. And equated credits are basically the hours that you're sitting in a classroom. So not every class is going to give you college credits. And the classes that don't give you college credits are what we consider remedial courses. So courses that help students prepare for when they get to college level courses. And that may include a remedial English or remedial math course. Like I said, you don't receive the credits at the end, but they do count towards financial aid. In order for students to graduate on time, we recommend students enroll in 15 credits a semester, and that's 15 real credits a semester. So if we have a quick pop quiz, sorry, we're gonna have our first math test here. If students take 15 credits in the fall and then 15 credits in the spring, they would complete 30 credits for that full academic year. If we times that by 4, that's going to get them 120 credits in the 4 years. That's the minimum number of credits for a bachelor's degree. There are some degrees, a little more technical degrees, that have upper level credits, 128, 120, 136. And obviously those students would need to take a little bit more each semester. But the majority of the majors for a bachelor's degree, it's 120 credits. If your child can't take 15 credits a semester, either because they're working or they have a remedial course or they just can't handle that workload, that's fine. There's other ways of picking up credits throughout the semester, throughout the year. So in the summer, your child is able to take 2 courses in the summer. And during January, which is our intersession, they could take 1 course. So there are additional ways of picking up credits. If your child can handle more than 15 credits, they're able to take up to 18 credits every semester. Once they establish a GPA over 3.0, we actually give them a little bit more flexibility and they could take up to 20, sometimes even 22 credits. Definitely not recommended for first-year students. I would stick with about 15 credits a semester. And we cover all of this in our advisement registration module. They will then complete a short quiz. They have to get a 60 or higher to move on to the final module, paying for college. And Michael will go into this, so I'm not going to go into great detail about what that module consists of. Once they complete all 3 modules successfully, the final step in virtual CART is completing the advisement intake form, which is basically a survey assessing their needs and what they want to do at the college. So we ask questions such as their intended major, pre-professional goals, scheduling preferences, if they're interested in taking courses at St. George, if they're interested in taking summer courses. We gather all that information, and based on their proficiency scores, we complete an advisement worksheet. And so we'll go to the next slide and I'll go through that, the next step after that. So once the students complete virtual CART and their intake form, each week I pull that data from Blackboard and I then assign the students that completed virtual CART that week to an advisor. The advisor is then responsible to complete the worksheet for the student. They will indicate blocks that they're eligible to take based on their degree requirements. So about 1.5 years ago, CUNY, based on the CUNY Momentum campaign, required us to push students through the degree a little bit quicker. So through that, we developed block scheduling, which is basically us linking classes together to help students with the scheduling process. So when we were on campus, students struggled with creating a schedule because there were so many options for them to choose from. So for example, English 111, which is our basic college English, there's over 140 different schedule options for that one class. So imagine sitting in a classroom trying to develop a schedule, and the first class you're eligible to take, there's 140 options. It's very overwhelming for new students. And then take that, and also you have to then pick a math and a creative expression and an individual in society. You have hundreds and hundreds of different combinations. So to alleviate the stress on our students, we develop these block schedules, which is basically taking classes and putting schedules together. And this has helped students go through the process smoother, and it's also helped them stay on track with the 15 credits. So what the advisor will do is they'll recommend certain blocks based on the student's preference. The advisor will then email your child the advisement worksheet and onboarding checklist, which explains the process, and the actual block schedules. So we have right now 65 different blocks on the main campus, and we have 16 blocks offered at our St. George extension. So we'll go through those options with your student, and we'll let them know what we think is best for them. Once your student receives that, reviews everything, they will then work one-on-one with their assigned advisor, who will either work with them over the phone or through email or video conferencing such as Zoom or WebEx to help complete the student's registration. We will then send your child a final schedule using Schedule Builder. This is a great tool that CUNY just put out. It basically is a tool that takes all of those sections that I spoke about a few minutes ago and blocks them on a grid based on your preference. So if your child only wants to come to school on Mondays and Wednesdays using Schedule Builder, they could block out Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and the Schedule Builder will only pull up classes that would meet Mondays and Wednesdays. So this is a great tool that we are using. They won't use it so much their first semester, but moving forward, it's definitely a great tool to use. The final step that we do is we post a hold on your child's account, which will prevent any kind of scheduling changes on their end. And the reason we do this is in the past, we would get students registered and they would be in the correct classes, and then they would go home and make changes based on a sibling's information, their boyfriend's schedule, their girlfriend's schedule, and then they were taking the wrong classes, and it jeopardized their financial aid and it kept them at the college longer. So to ensure that they remain in the correct classes, for their first semester, we lock down their schedule. And then moving forward, they would have the ability to make changes on their own. But for their first semester, we do prevent that. If they need to make changes after we complete registration, we can totally help them with that. They would just have to contact their advisor to help them make those necessary changes. Okay, I think I have one more slide. Okay, so yeah, this is very visually stimulating, this slide I put together, but just let me go through it quick. So the first screenshot you see on your left is a sample of the advisement worksheet that we would email to your child. So if you look at it, it basically, the top half of it explains the general education requirements that they would be eligible to take based on their intended major and their proficiency values. And the bottom half of it explains the blocks that they are eligible to take that we recommend that they take for their first semester. So they will receive that by email. The second screenshot is a screenshot of what the blocks look like. This is an example of some of the business blocks that we put together. So if you look at block 1, it has 5 courses within that block. So that is a full-time 15-credit block. That would give that student English, political science, accounting, their math, and their macroeconomics course. If your child wanted some flexibility, they could look at block number 2, which would only give them 3 courses towards their degree. And then they would work one-on-one with the advisor on selecting the additional courses to add into the schedule to make them full-time. Like I said, we have 65 different versions of these blocks, and this is only for the first semester. Moving forward, they would pick their classes individually on their own. The last screenshot is just an example. We put course descriptions in this booklet to kind of give an idea of what these courses are about. We try to instill the 30 credits or 30 units a year. And we just explain a little bit about what our general education is all about. Normally, we're on campus 5 days a week to help your child get through the journey. Right now, we are fully virtual. So if they have any questions, we are totally here to answer those questions. Hopefully, when we get back on campus, we'll be able to meet your children in person. And we together can help them get through their degree in a nice, fast, easy, manageable way. Thank you. I think that's it for me, Sean, right?
I think that's it. I think that's me, right? Orientation?
Yeah, you're back on.
That's me. So I'm back. Thank you, Dina. And Dina is here. She's not going anywhere. She's not leaving us. So we'll answer some of those questions that people had at the end. I do want to mention one thing. Dina did say, yes, we are normally 5 days a week here to assist. Starting next week, however, which this was something that was just brought to my attention, the college will be closed, right? Closed, whatever that means, on Fridays, the next 6 Fridays. So starting next Friday, a week from tomorrow, and then the 5 Fridays after that, the college is closed. So if you're having trouble reaching anyone on Friday, it's because the college is closed, but we are open, right, Monday through Thursday for those 6 weeks, just so everybody understands that. So the next step, step 4, what do you do after CART, VCART? You go to VNSO, because I liked what Dina created, so I stole it from her. So new student orientation, again, is typically an on-campus event. We hold usually 8 to 10 orientations throughout the summer. Students are required. New student orientation is a degree requirement. So unfortunately, we can't have, groups of 200 students on campus just yet. So we will be hosting, we've now gone virtual too, much like Dina and Cass and CART and VCART, we're VNSO. So VNSO will be very similar in the way it's structured to VCART. It'll be done in Blackboard. There'll be modules to complete. There'll be some quick tests and exams they have to complete to get through those modules. The most important part of new student orientation is really getting to know the other students you're going to be in school with. Unfortunately, we lose that aspect when it's virtual, but we will also have some virtual Zoom like this meetups with the students and some orientation leaders like Eva that will exist too. So it will be a Blackboard module system that students will have to complete, but we'll also have some interactive stuff we're going to incorporate. So Jesse and myself we're building that as we speak, right? We're the new student orientation people. So look for an email sometime in July where we'll be giving the directions, much like that VCART email students received. They'll get a VNSO email instructing them to start and how to go about it. Luckily, they'll be pretty much accustomed to how to complete VNSO because they've already done VCART. Everyone who will do VNSO will have done VCART. So have no worries. We'll talk about, we'll let Dana address move in a little while. I'll let her talk for a second. We'll have her answer that question. So after NSO, what's the next step in your enrollment? It's pay your bill, right? The bill is generally, is usually generated right after you register for classes. So about 24 to 48 hours after registering, you'll be able to log into CUNY First again and have the student talk to you about CUNY First and let you go in and see. But they will be able to go in and view their bill. And their bill, generally CUNY is very affordable. It's about $3,500 a semester for in-state residents. Even for out-of-state residents, it's very, very affordable. It goes by credit at that point, 620 per credit. Remember, full-time, that means 12 credits or more. So 12 to 18 credits, it's one flat rate of $3,465. If a student goes part-time, then they pay per credit, $305 per credit. Again, non-resident, people who live outside of New York State, it's $620 per credit. Again, that breaks out to be about $7,500 a semester. 14 to 15,000 per year. Still extremely affordable when you start shopping at other schools. Other schools are wildly expensive. So even for non-state residents, it's affordable, but for in-state residents, it's really, really affordable. So you would pay your bill, or with the Office of the Bursar, you can always contact them for setting up payment plans and paying your bill if you're just going to pay outright. Now, what goes in with paying your bill and financing your education is our friend from the Office of Financial Aid. So without further ado, the ID card has changed, but another alum of the college. So it's my pleasure to welcome from the Office of Student Financial Aid, the Enrollment Services Coordinator, Michael Adamo. Michael, take it away.
Thank you, Sean. As my colleagues were stating before, CSI is not only affordable, but more importantly, it provides a quality education for students. CSI gives the ability for students to ascend, and now we will look into how you can finance your education. Most students use a combination of sources to pay for their education. These sources can be federal and state financial aid, scholarships, and/or out of pocket. Financial aid comes in a number of forms. Grants are need-based aid that does not need to be paid back. An example of this would be the federal Pell Grant. Federal direct loans, both subsidized and unsubsidized, are federal aid that would need to be paid back. Scholarships, which would either be based upon merit or need, would not necessarily have to be paid back as well. And federal work study are funds in which students would be able to work throughout the semester. And by receiving that work-study award, they'd be paid throughout the semester for the amount of hours they would work. So the gateway to all financial aid is the FAFSA. FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. Prior to starting the application, you will need to obtain an FSA ID for yourself and for your parent if you are a dependent student, as this is how you would electronically sign and submit the FAFSA. You can file online at studentaid.gov or by downloading the new mobile app, My Student Aid, which is available in Google Play and the App Store. The FAFSA needs to be filed every year and opens on October 1st to the prior upcoming academic year. You'll use tax information from 2 years ago. So for example, if you're completing the 2020-2021 application, you'll be using the 2018 tax information. Be sure to list CSI so that we receive your information. And our federal school code is 002698. And if you are a New York State resident, the link to complete the New York State application will be on the FAFSA confirmation page after the FAFSA is submitted. And our TAP school code is 1417. After submitting the application, you will receive a confirmation email from the Department of Education. This email will give you an expected family contribution, or EFC. This is what the government expects your family to reasonably be able to contribute towards your education or cost of attendance. The cost of attendance is the amount that the college estimates is the total cost of attending for an academic year, and it's not just the cost of tuition. It takes into consideration estimated costs such as travel expenses, books, supplies, meals, and personal expenses. CSI will receive your FAFSA information approximately 7 to 10 days after you receive the confirmation email from the Department of Education. Sometimes it may be necessary for you to submit an additional documentation to process your financial aid, as about 30% of students are selected for verification. Verification is a process that requires us to verify the information you gave on the FAFSA, and the selection is made randomly by the federal government. The Pell Grant is the primary aid that is received in result of completing the FAFSA. The maximum amount you can receive from a Pell Grant is $6,345 per year, which is broken down to $3,172.50 per semester, and this is based upon full-time enrollment. Campus-based aid, such as the SEOG and Federal Work-Study Award, is given to students based upon the availability of funds, and we suggest that you file the FAFSA as soon as you can, as the earlier you complete the FAFSA, the better chance you have of being awarded these additional funds. As I stated before, the FAFSA is the gateway to financial aid. In the confirmation email from the Department of Education, there is also an indication of the amount of a loan you can apply for. At CSI, we do not initially package students with loans, so if you are interested in applying for a federal direct loan, there are a few additional steps. First, the FAFSA would have to be completed, including submitting all additional documentations that may be required, as well as you'd have to complete the Master Promissory Note and entrance counseling for first-time borrowers on studentaid.gov. You also must be enrolled in a minimum of 6 credits, and the link for the loan application is found on our CSI financial aid website, in which a student would have to complete using their /login. Listed here are the amounts that you are eligible for as a first-time freshman. As a dependent student, you'd be eligible for $5,500, and as an independent freshman, you'd be eligible for $9,500. For both of them, you are eligible for up to $3,500 of a subsidized loan, which means the interest will not start accruing on that amount until you graduate college or you drop below enrollment of 6 credits. The unsubsidized portion of the loan would start accruing interest the day that is dispersed out to you. So for the most part, we have discussed federal financial aid, but you can also receive financial aid from the state. There are a variety of grants that can be awarded, such as the TAP, which is a tuition grant that can be up to $2,582 per semester, as well as a CUNY TAP waiver that would complement the remaining cost of your tuition. In order to receive TAP, you must be a full-time student with at least 12 credits going towards your degree, as well as you'd have to be a New York State resident for at least 1 calendar year. I'm sure many of you have heard about the Excelsior Scholarship or free tuition. This is just one scholarship that is offered by New York State and must be applied separately from the TAP application. You must have a combined adjusted gross income of $125,000 or less, and sign a contract with the program. The scholarship is open for a limited period of time, so make sure you are checking the HESC website for updates. It is currently not available now, but later on, I will put the link in the chat box in which you can sign up for an email notification so you are aware of when it does become available. As well as there are other scholarships that are offered by New York State, and for more eligibility requirements, you can visit their website, which is hesc.ny.gov.
Michael, I don't want to interrupt you, and I hate doing that. I just have one question, because this question, and there's somebody here right now who asked me this question yesterday, and I said, hopefully we'll have a little more clarity on it.
Yes.
Do we have any idea of when that application, I know it has nothing to do with us, it's the state, I explained that. Do we have any idea of when that Excelsior Scholarship might open?
So we don't have any idea when it will be open right now, only because there's a lot of fluidity going on with the state right now, with everything going on with the current pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
But if it does become available, they will reach out to students by email. So what I would say is everyone sign up for that email if you do plan on applying for it. So when it does become available, you'd be able to sign up for it right away.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
That's fine. Next slide, Sean. Another important note to remember is that for federal and state aid, they have two components, which are income eligibility and academic eligibility. Along with eligibility for program and financial need, students must also abide by the academic criteria established by federal and state guidelines. Generally, both require a 2.0 GPA. Courses must be going towards a degree, and you must satisfy progress and pursuit. So at CSI, we send emails with your financial aid offer. Typically, these emails are sent to whatever you have on your admission application up until the time you claim your CSI email, and then it will be sent to your CSI email. You will also be able to view your financial aid by logging into your CUNY First account and looking under the financial aid tab. The only financial aid you'd have to manually accept is a federal work-study award. So if you do see any other grants on your account, those are automatically accepted for you. Please make sure that you are checking your emails, and it is important because that is how we communicate with the students. If you are selected for verification or have to submit additional documentation, you will receive an email from the financial aid office requesting what would be needed. Also, on your self-center on the CUNY First account, there is something that is called a to-do list, in which this to-do list would show what documentation would be needed. And on that to-do list, you would only have to submit in documentation for CSI. By clicking on this to-do list, you can view the items that are required, as well as the details, including the contact information in which you'd be able to submit it to the office, as well as how you can resolve these items. Students must resolve these items on the to-do list, and if they do not resolve these items in a timely manner, that would prevent us from dispersing out any federal financial aid to them, as well as the federal direct loan. If you need to submit in documentation, you can upload your documents through your CUNY First account, you can fax them to us, or you can email the financial aid office. For questions or assistance, you can always call or email the financial aid office. And listed on this last slide are the points of contact. Although we are currently not on campus as we are working remotely, we are returning phone calls and emails during our regular business hours, which are 9 to 5. But as Sean pointed out before, starting next week, since we are not available on Fridays, we would be able to answer any inquiries from Monday through Thursday from 9 to 5. I think that's back to you now, Sean.
I'm gonna keep it with you for one more moment, and
Okay.
Terry, feel free to answer, I guess, too, because this question did come up, and it's already come up in the chat box, and I think I understand the question because somebody asked me the same question yesterday. So I guess we might as well just throw it out there now because people might have this in mind. So people who are planning on applying for the Excelsior Scholarship. So right now, obviously we know that's not open yet. So I guess the question is, and I'm going to sort of distill it down to, I have a bill that needs to be paid by X date. I don't know if the Excelsior, when that's opening, I don't know if I'm going to get the Excelsior Scholarship. What do I do in the meantime? Do I apply for a loan? Do I set up a payment plan? How do I pay that bill while I'm waiting on Excelsior Scholarship?
So what I have been telling students is make sure you have some sort of payment arrangement made in the event that the Excelsior Scholarship is delayed in processing. If you want to sign up for a payment plan, by all means you can, because the payments would be broken down incrementally throughout the semester. So I believe right now it would be broken down to 6 payments. So if you sign up for the payment plan, the first payment would be due today, in which you would owe a sixth of the balance that you currently owe. Now, the important thing to also note is if you sign up for the Excelsior Scholarship, you would still owe the college the fees that are associated with the school, as the Excelsior Scholarship only covers the tuition. So if you do receive the Excelsior Scholarship, you'd still owe about $300 to $400 out of pocket. But if you do sign up for a payment plan, if you pay too much of an award, you would get refunded whatever the overpayment that you made is.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers that question. Again, I know that question came up. Somebody asked me yesterday, and it looks like somebody put that. I believe that was the question about being able to apply effect billing, and I'm budgeting with that award in mind. So I hope that answers your question. Do you want to say something, Terry? I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No,
That's just where they can find out some more payment options on that website as well. And I just want to go back to one thing with the Excelsior when Dina was speaking. For the Excelsior, she said for equated credits, that would count towards full-time. The only time equated credits don't count towards full-time is for the Excelsior. At that point, you need 12 real credits going towards your degree in order to receive the Excelsior. And then the Excelsior has a requirement of completing 30 credits per year. Thanks.
yeah, no. So I hope that answers the question. So we do understand it's obviously a challenge, which is out of our hands. It's the state. So payment plans, student loans, those are all options while you wait for that Excelsior scholarship. I hope that answers the question. I apologize. Step 6. So as we're going through these enrollment steps, what's the next step? Step 6 is updating your academic record. For most of you, you don't have to do anything really for that. The DOE, if you're a DOE student, New York City DOE, they will send your final transcript to us digitally. That's the arrangement we have with the DOE. If you're a private school, somebody mentioned Monsignor Farrell. Those schools really know the process of sending CUNY, CSI, the final transcript at the end too. If you're a school that, maybe an out-of-state school, out of, an international school, make sure that you just have your guidance counselor send your final transcript to us at the college, whether that's digitally or, via mail. We're not on campus, but we do have people going to campus weekly to check the mail. So it's still more than fine to send it via, what they call snail mail, right? Traditional mail. The only time you really have to worry about really updating your academic record is if your student took college courses in high school. So again, if it's a college now course, that's CUNY. You don't have to worry. We have access to those. It's more of some of the private colleges or the non-CUNY, like SUNY colleges that offer college credits to students, or the College Board, right? AP. You'd have to make sure you request that an official transcript is sent to us. I always use the example of St. John's. St. John's does, they do offer college courses. A lot of students on Staten Island take those courses. Make sure that St. John's is sending an official transcript to us, again, and sending it via mail is still sufficient. So just make sure your academic record is updated, and make sure you get those college, do your best to get those college courses, those transcripts to us, so Dina and her team can properly advise you when you're going through VCART. That is really the end of our official presentation piece. But now we definitely would like to open the floor to questions. And my friend Jessie has been, I'm sure, monitoring those questions. And she's going to go through those for us. I know we've answered a few of them as we've gone through, but there's definitely some questions we haven't addressed.
There are questions that have been answered. But one question, someone asked that they already filed their FAFSA, but they made a mistake in regards to their social security number. How would they go about fixing that?
I answered privately to her.
Oh, okay.
So she'll be contacting us, thank you.
So someone else asked, they're a bit confused about payment. It was, they thought they heard that it was mentioned the first payment was due today in terms of the payment plan. Did they hear incorrectly?
So the first payment of the payment plan is due whenever you sign up for it. So they would take a payment out right away. And then the next payment would be due the 5th of every preceding month.
You have until June 22nd to sign up for the payment plan in order to get 6 payments. After that, then it's reduced to 5 payments.
They also asked that they've yet to receive a bill for the 2020 semester. When can they expect to see that?
So they would receive a bill on their CUNY First account. As soon as they register for courses, it would be updated in about 24 hours after they register. So if they have not registered for courses yet, once they do, it would be updated at that point in time.
While you're looking, Jess, I do want to mention one thing. I did put up the academic calendar. Classes do start on Wednesday, August 26th. That calendar is available. Eva is amazing. She put it up already. The link is up there. We will send that link again in that email that I promised. So know that classes start on August 26th. It's a Wednesday. That is regardless of whether we're on campus or we're doing distance learning still. This question comes up, and it may sound like a silly question to some of you, but it's a valid question, and it comes up all the time, so I'm going to address it. I get the questions, what if I don't have classes on Wednesdays, but I have classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays? Well, then you wouldn't start classes on Wednesday the 26th. You would start on that Thursday. So just know that that's the first day, and if you have classes that are not on Wednesday, if it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you would start on that day. So worry not. But the first official day is August 26th. The calendar's there. You should definitely review the calendar. It has lots of wonderful dates on there about dropping courses and all that stuff. So take a look at that calendar. The link is there, and we will send it again. I apologize, Jesse.
No, it's okay. Gave a chance for some more questions to come in. With the campus closed right now, how does the student seek to see if their testing mods have carried over from high school?
I'm not sure I completely understand that question. They're testing mods.
So that person wants to elaborate, and I'll get back to that. We'll answer it again. How can my child do VCART? He's on CUNY First and does not see it.
Hi, I replied in the chat. VCART is not through CUNY First. It's actually through a different system within CUNY called CUNY Blackboard. So I'm actually getting the information from her now to look into it for her son.
If a student completed the VCART training, do they need to wait for an advisor to contact them before or after they can register for classes?
So once the student completes VCART, they don't have to do anything but wait to hear from their advisor. It takes about 5 business days to be assigned to an advisor. So each week I will pull that data and then take all of the students that completed VCART that week and assign them to an advisor. That's usually done on Tuesdays. So anyone that completes VCART between Wednesday morning through Monday night, they'll be picked up the following Tuesday. So about 5 business days.
Is that payment plan deadline for tuition only, or does it include housing as well?
You would be able to sign up for the payment plan to include any housing charges that are on your account as well.
Jess, I understand now. I see they elaborated on that question. So testing modifications, I get it. Definitely, like I mentioned before, you should have this, student register with the Center for Student Accessibility, and they will go over whatever accommodations. The accommodations can be a little different in college than they are in high school, but they will review with them whatever accommodations they are entitled to, and they will make sure they get those accommodations. Do keep in mind that unlike in, I guess, high school, it's where all the teachers would know about the IEP and they would know about accommodations. It's up to the student when you're in college to inform the professor of the accommodations that are necessary. It is illegal and unethical for the Center for Student Accessibility to alert professors. That's really, again, it's a lot, again, and this sort of touches on that transition piece I said in the beginning. It's about telling the professor that they have these accommodations that need to be met, right? The student needs to take the lead in getting those accommodations and making sure that they have those. So I'm not 100% sure about all the accommodations that the student would be entitled to. That's why they should definitely contact the Center for Student Accessibility, check in with them. They will do a complete intake meeting with them. They'll need their updated IEP, and they will then go over with them what accommodations they're entitled to and how they would go about getting those accommodations on our campus. Again, it is a little bit different in college than it is in high school, but there are tons of accommodations that the student is entitled to, and they would just need to register with the Center for Student Accessibility. That is the first and most important step. And again, you do need to submit the updated IEP. Again, once again, unlike the transcript and the medical records that the DOE is allowed to send to us, they are not allowed. It's illegal for them to send an IEP. That is something that, again, you must send in yourself. That is something you must send in. The DOE is not allowed to send that from the school. I hope that answered the question. Go ahead, Jesse, sorry.
It's okay. So someone did send me a question. They asked if students can request a meeting with their academic advisor prior to classes. I'm assuming they mean in person.
We can't do in-person meetings unless we're back on campus, but if they want to have a virtual meeting, definitely. They can contact their assigned advisor. They can meet one-on-one just like this. But until we get the go-ahead, we can't go onto campus. Believe me, I want to be there.
I think we all want to be there. So when classes start, how do you know if you need specific books for those classes?
So a lot of students don't know about this, but on our CSI financial aid, not our CSI financial aid website, on the CSI website itself, you can check the CSI library in which you can find what textbooks you need for your specific courses, as long as you know the course and the section number. So if you at least know your schedule, I would say try to look up the CSI library where you can find your textbooks so you know what books you'd have to have in advance.
And obviously the students will get that information first day of classes when they get the syllabus. So, worry not. But you can do that ahead of time if you wanted to be proactive, definitely.
How would tuition be adjusted if the students aren't able to dorm for the fall semester?
So tuition wouldn't get adjusted because tuition doesn't have anything to do with housing. So there are different scenarios we're working on. It's either we're going to be on campus as normal. It's either going to be online classes, and then students will still be allowed to live on campus. So if we're not allowed to open entirely, students will get a refund of anything they've paid towards housing, but there hasn't been a plan in place. We're just kind of working out the logistics of it and what kind of is going to go on, and waiting on basically the state to see what the future is going to be. So, yeah.
Yeah, so again, there's a scenario where the classes are online, but students can still live in Dolphin Cove student housing, correct?
Where can you see the to-do list on CUNY First?
So when you log into your CUNY First account, underneath the academics page where you can see your schedule, it's towards the right of that. It would show your holds and then your to-do list, as well as a few other things underneath that as well.
When do you know what you'll receive, via TAP, FAFSA, any grants that you get? Is it only after you've registered for classes?
Well, if you look on your financial aid tab on the CUNY First account, on the self-service page, underneath the finances tab, on the left of that, there's something that says view financial aid. If you click that, you'd click the 2021 academic year underneath the College of Staten Island. And after you click that, it would show any estimated financial aid award you'd have as of right now. We won't know for sure if those are the awards you're going to be receiving until you register as a full-time student or you register as a student in general, as well as you clear up all the items on your to-do list.
There's also an email that will be sent to whatever email you included on your admissions application until the time the student declares their CSI account. So that email should also go, you should receive that, and that will also give you all your financial aid offers.
So this is kind of, I guess, repeating some of that information, but someone did follow up while you guys were speaking. When for financial aid, how do we know if the government can help us pay for college? Like how much money we receive?
So if you do check that email or you do check your CUNY First account, it would show your estimated awards. And as Sean said before, the tuition rate per semester is around $3,744. So if you have an estimated award more than that, if you are eligible to receive that award, you wouldn't have to worry about paying anything. But if you have an award amount less than that, you would have to pay whatever the difference would be.
And I guess I did want to highlight just before that there are some fees. So we did mention before I showed the tuition, which was about $3,500 per semester. There are about $200, $250 in fees, $300 in fees that even if you did get the Excelsior scholarship, you're still responsible for those fees, just so you're aware.
How much does your income have to be for your child's qualify for financial aid?
So there's no exact quote unquote cutoff for financial aid because there are other varying factors for your FAFSA award besides just your household income. It also takes into consideration how big the household is and any untaxed income that may have. For TAP purposes, it is a cutoff of $80,000 for the household. And for the Excelsior scholarship, it is $125,000 or less to qualify.
Can they check their awards on CUNY First?
They would be able to, yes, by checking the financial aid tab underneath the finances, or check that email that should have been sent out to them to see if they are eligible for anything.
So what is Spark training?
What is Spark training? Jesse, what is Spark training? So Spark training is training that Title IX we're required to give all students. Students must be trained in really sexual assault training on campus. Students obviously at this age are in an interesting time in their lives, but it could be they could end up in some dangerous situations, dangerous relationships. So that training is just about sexual assault and sexual violence that they may encounter as students in college. It is a full module of training that they will have to complete as part of new student orientation. That will be one of the things they must complete. All students, we're required, and any institution really that receives funding. So that's not just CUNY and SUNY, but even private schools who receive financial aid funding. They must give students this Title IX training. You could do some research on what Title IX is. Just punch that in. It's obviously federal laws again, but students we are required to give them this training, and that training is given via this online Blackboard module called Spark.
Do any of you know if there are any COVID-related changes that can be made through FAFSA, TAP, or anything? They said that they're currently at reduced pay.
So for the federal financial aid, they would be able to contact the financial aid office and we would be able to do an adjustment of their income if they are reduced pay based upon the current situation of the household. But for TAP purposes, HESC is going to contact students directly to see if they have been impacted by the COVID-19 situation. When they do contact the students, obviously you can let them know what the situation is, and if they deem it that you are eligible for your award to be adjusted through them, they would contact you and let you know what documentation would have to be required on their end.
As of right now, that's the final question. So if anyone else has anything else they want to say?
So if you have more questions, type those in. I'm going to unmute the people who have called in, and this will be a good chance for some of you to voice those questions if you have those. So I'm going to do that. Just be mindful that when we unmute many different people, obviously the background noise could be a little distracting. So if you could, do your best to keep the background noise to a minimum while you're unmuted.
Good morning, Sean.
Yes, good morning. How are you?
Mrs. Tancredi, how are you?
Yes, I'm doing well. How are you doing? So I know you had a couple, I know we emailed back and forth a little bit while this session was going on. What questions do you have? I know you missed a little bit of the cart, right?
Yes. The thing is that what if a parent like can't contribute to their children's college education? Like, where do we begin?
So you're saying financially, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So let me get this. Let me just see if I can clarify this a little, because I think we had this conversation yesterday. You were obviously depending on Excelsior scholarship, correct?
Right.
And
Or I
don't-
have to do right.
Yes, and we don't know where that is right at this moment, right? As far as the
Right.
deadline. So what does a parent do if they don't have any money? Obviously, it's a payment plan if that's not an option for them.
Right.
And they're waiting on Excelsior and they have a bill that's due. What do we recommend? Would it be applying for a student loan?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
If it is necessary to apply for a student loan, if that would be your only option, I would say you could apply for it. Just be aware though that you would have to complete that entrance counseling and master promissory note on studentaid.gov before the loan would show on your account as pending financial aid. What I would say though is if you do receive the federal direct loan and the student is an incoming freshman, they would get roughly about $2,750 for the fall and spring semester. So there would still be about a balance of $1,000 after the fact that would be owed to the college.
So the Excelsior Grant Program doesn't pay for the full tuition?
The Excelsior Grant Program pays for the entire tuition. However, it does not pay for the fees that are associated with the school.
Right, of course, right.
One thing before would be about $200 to $400 or so you'd have to pay out of pocket after the fact.
Yeah, Mr. Tancredi, what he was saying is that students are not eligible if you went the student loan route, are not eligible for the full tuition, right? Their first semester, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. Right?
Oh, I understand.
So then there's additional money. Now I guess I'm going to ask the question for her because I assume this will be her next question. What are the options then for a parent? Would it be a parent plus loan?
They could apply for one if they wanted to after the fact. That'd be entirely up to the parent to make that decision. But what I would say is if you do sign up for that student loan, like I said, it would probably be about $1,000 after the fact. So after the loan, if you would want to sign up for a payment plan for that, which would be about $200 or so a month, that is also possible if you do not want to apply for a Parent Plus loan.
That would actually probably be an option for me then. If I could actually, pay that out, that would be fine.
But those would be your options. So it would be either
Okay.
a payment plan for the additional roughly $1,000. Again, we're talking rough numbers, or a Parent Plus loan, which would be an additional loan that you would take out to cover the additional expenses.
Right. So if my children took out a student, it wouldn't be under me. The loan would be under them. They would still, so just for the first semester, they're only allowed a certain amount. After that, they can apply for the loan. Say if I don't get the Excelsior grant, they can apply for loans for the full amount of the tuition, correct?
No.
When they apply for the entire amount of a loan, they would apply for the amount for the entire year. So for a freshman, it would be $5,500. So half would go towards the fall, half would go towards the spring. And say for next year, if you still have to apply for a loan, if the student would have at least 30 credits completed, they'd be able to apply for an additional $1,000 for the entire academic year, which would be $6,500 for the fall and spring semester. But that would be after they would complete 30 credits.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Jess, a couple more questions. Well, and again, I'm going to leave those phones open. Jess, there were some more questions that came into the box, though.
Yes, there are two more questions in relation to Excelsior. So I'm just going to ask them pretty much back to back, and then you guys can discuss. So the first one is, can my child qualify for the scholarship if I make $100,000 annually? And the next one is there an income max per household for the Excelsior scholarship? So they're kind of related.
As long as the income of the household for the appropriate tax year is less than $125,000, you would be financially eligible to receive the Excelsior Scholarship. Now, in order to receive the Excelsior Scholarship, you would have to at least be registered for 12 credits going towards your semester, as well as you have to complete 30 credits each academic year.
So as long as the household does not exceed $125,000, you qualify for the scholarship. And that's
Yes.
household
And
income. So yes.
Yes, and the good thing about the Excelsior Scholarship is you'd only have to apply for it once throughout your academic career, and then HESC would verify your tax eligibility each year after that.
Just a note on the Excelsior Scholarship, say for whatever reason the student loses the scholarship. At the end of their career, that money would have to be repaid to the state. There's no interest and it gets paid over 10 years. But if a student should not meet the criteria, the 30 credits every year, or lose it because they are not meeting it academically, then that money does need to be repaid to the state. They
Okay.
also have to live and stay within the state for the amount of time that they receive the scholarship. You can apply for the scholarship on hesc.newyork.gov. I see that's one of the questions there.
I have a question.
Yes.
What, oh my God, I had a thought and now I lost it.
All right, we still have a few more minutes remaining. So try to remember that question.
Oh, what tax return year is the Excelsior grant going to look at? Are they going to look at 19 or 18?
18.
They're
They're going to look at 2018.
Yeah.
Okay, and is it every year they look at the different tax returns each year?
Yes.
Okay, so for this year, they would look at my kids for 2018. Next year, if I apply, if I apply again,
You
do
don't
you
need
have to apply for Excelsior?
You only need to apply the first time. And then
Okay,
you have to apply, and there's also a contract that needs to be signed between the student and the state.
right,
That
right.
is automatic. You don't need to reapply. You just have to be within whatever income guidelines it is for that year.
Got it.
So if the next year you went
Understood.
over 125,000, you would lose the scholarship.
Right.
Right. Right, but in each tax year, or is it when they look at 2018?
When they look at 2018, next year they'll look at 2019, the year after.
Right. And
You
if
could
I may
conceive
say, right,
Go ahead.
I have to keep it under $125,000 each year of my taxes in order to receive the scholarship each year.
Correct.
Okay, wonderful.
So I think, is that the end of the questions?
So someone just asked, I guess, to,
Oh, so Heather, you email Dina directly and she'll answer those. She'll help you with those specific questions. Anybody else have any questions?
Yes, hi, good afternoon. I have a question. What if the income has changed from 2018?
So you would be able to contact the financial aid office to request an income adjustment, in which we would adjust your income based upon what it is now compared to what it was in 2018. And after the income adjustment process is completed, if you are entitled to an award, you would be granted it. But that would only be for the federal Pell Grant. Like I said before, for state, HESC is going to reach out to students to see if they were impacted, and you would have to submit any documentation for your state financial aid to HESC directly when the time comes.
Okay, but we would not have to reapply for the FAFSA.
No, you would just have to submit to us the documentation
The income.
to prove that the income is changed.
Okay, thank you.
I guess that is it. How do you fill out the FAFSA in order to get the Excelsior scholarship?
Yes.
Yes, the FAFSA is, I don't know if you just answered that. The FAFSA is the gateway to everything. Not only for FAFSA, it's for, honor programs. If you're a Macaulay Honor student, you must complete the FAFSA. If you're in either SEEK or ASAP, you must complete the FAFSA. The FAFSA is important for many different things, more than just, if you want a student loan, you must complete the FAFSA. So it's not just receiving TAP and Pell, it's for a lot of different things. You must fill out the FAFSA. I think I've said that a few times.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt for 1 second? I didn't get the information. My son has an IEP through high school. I just didn't remember the office that you said to contact to send the IEP, his current IEP, to you.
It is the Center for Student Accessibility. Eva is going to put that email address. She's the best. Oh, you don't have it. So if you just email, and I'll send it to you, Ms. Tecriti, csa@csi.cuny.edu. It's pretty easy. I'll email you that if I forget once I leave here. Just say, hey, Sean, what's that email address? But if you just email them, Center for Student Accessibility, at that email address, to let them know. Really, it shouldn't be you, though. And again, I'm going way back to my transition piece again, right? Dina and Dina's car analogy, right? You're riding shotgun, right? the students must be in the driver's seat. So they must email the Center for Student Accessibility and let them know that they have an IEP and they'd like to schedule an appointment to register with the center. So make sure that the student is doing that. And I'll send you that email address once we are finished here.
Okay, now because the high schools are all closed, if I don't have my latest copy, how am I going to get it?
They should still be able to get that to you, the high
Okay.
school.
So
Definitely call the school, contact them, and ask that question to the CS, the Center for Student Accessibility. They should. I'm sure you're not the first person who's asked that question. So definitely contact the guidance counselor at the school, and also when your son emails the center, have them obviously stress
Right.
it.
Okay.
And
Thank you for all your help, everybody.
No worries. And somebody just put it in that they received that they contacted their guidance counselor and they received the daughter's IEP through the mail. So just contact them. They'll do that, or maybe even contact Patrides, the main office. They should be able to help.
I will.
I think that seems like the end. So I'm going to say thank you to everyone for coming. This has been great. Again, we will be posting this at some point on our email address. We'll send out that, but I will also email you tomorrow, the latest Monday, all the links. If you don't get that, always email me and say, hey, I didn't get that email, but I will send it to everyone. Thanks for coming. I really, all of us, truly hope that we are going to see your children on our campus on the 26th of August. But if we are not, if you're not, if we're not there, if we're still doing distance learning, all these services we'll be still here to help. We really do care, and we're there to help. So thank you all for coming. Thank you. Stay
Thank
well.
you.
Have a nice summer, the best you can, and stay well and enjoy the beautiful weather. Thank you for coming. Take care.